Ready? All right, this is Copyright 101, Video 1, Take 1. Action!
Hi, I'm Raven Lanier, and I'm the Senior Copyright and Policy Specialist at the University of Michigan Center for Academic Innovation, or CAI.
And my name is Caroline Dameron. I'm the Accessibility Coordinator at CAI.
Thank you for joining us for our video series about the basics of copyright law. In today's video, we hope to clear up some of the common misunderstandings about copyright law through answering some of the most Googled questions about copyright. We hope the answers will come in handy as you watch the following videos and will help you when you're creating your own content. What does copyright mean? In the US, copyright protects original works of authorship by granting to the author certain exclusive rights. These exclusive rights include the ability to reproduce, distribute, publicly perform, and publicly display the copyrighted work, along with the right to create derivative works like translations or sequels. U.S. copyright law also grants certain rights to the general public to use copyrighted works without the copyright holder's permission in certain circumstances.
What does copyright protect? Copyright protects works of original authorship fixed in a tangible medium of expression. What this means is that there's some originality, human authorship, and it's in a tangible medium. A song, for example, is not fixed until recorded or written down. Examples include books, photos, music, movies, and sculptures. These are the usual suspects, but it's not an exhaustive list. What does copyright infringement mean? Copyright infringement means when one uses a work under copyright without permission of the copyright holder. Use can mean any of the exclusive rights we mentioned earlier.
What does no copyright mean? You might frequently see on stock image sites that an image is labeled as having no copyright. This statement is a bit of a misnomer. Unless an author has released an image into the public domain, it's unlikely that the image doesn't have copyright.
What does copyright not protect? Copyright does not extend to ideas, procedures, processes, systems, methods of operation, concepts, principles, or discoveries. This list stems from the desire to promote learning, development, and innovation. Can you imagine if someone owned the use of something like 2 + 2 = 4? What does copyright fair use mean? In the US, fair use is the right the general public has to use copyrighted material even without permission in some circumstances. Favored uses include criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. But this is not an exhaustive list. To judge fair use cases, a court will balance 4 factors. 1, the purpose and character of the use. So is it for commercial or nonprofit educational use? 2, the nature of the copyrighted work. Is it fact or is it fiction? 3, the amount and substantiality of the work. It's important to note here there is no specific cutoff amount for this factor. And 4, the effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. None of these factors is dispositive. Anytime a user relies on fair use, consider how each of the 4 factors relates to the desired use. Just because a work is for a nonprofit educational purpose doesn't mean your inquiry is over.
Let's try a little bit of a different search now. Let's see what comes up for does copyright. Does copyright expire? The current duration of copyright is the life of the author plus 70 years. If a work was created by a corporation, the length of copyright lasts for 95 years from the date of publication, or 120 years from the date of creation if the work was not published. Copyright terms have changed over the years, so if you're interested in using a work that was published before 1989, you may want to check and see whether the work is in the public domain. You can do this by looking at Cornell's Copyright and the Public Domain chart.
Does copyright protect ideas? No. This is expressly excluded from copyright protection under Section 102B of the U.S. Copyright Act. What is protected, though, are the creative ways in which you express the idea.
Does copyright have to be registered? No. Copyright applies automatically the moment a work becomes fixed in a tangible medium. The picture you just took of your dog is protected by copyright. You don't have to do anything to get that protection. You can register your work with the U.S. Copyright Office and get some benefits. So, for example, if you want to sue someone for infringing your copyright, you have to have a registration with the Copyright Office. That registration also allows you to get statutory damages and attorney's fees if you win your copyright infringement claim. And you can also use a copyright registration to prevent the importation of infringing goods. It's important to remember that you can register at any time.
Does copyright cost money? Although copyright is automatic and doesn't require any registration, many times you will wish to register your work. There is a standard electronic filing fee to register.
Does copyright apply to education? There are limited educational exceptions in U.S. copyright that allow some reuses of content in face-to-face and what we consider to be closed online classrooms. These exemptions do not apply to open online learning in the way that we think of it now. But fortunately, in the US, we have the broad exemption of fair use that instructors can frequently rely on. Does copyright extend internationally? There are not one set of specific copyright laws that apply to every country, but most countries are members to two big copyright treaties that allow copyright to be recognized in those countries. So, for instance, if you hold a copyright in the US, that copyright is also held in Canada. The implications of international copyright law are far too vast for us to cover in this video. Just remember that fair use is a doctrine of US copyright law, and similar exceptions don't always exist in other countries. So if you are creating content that is targeted at learners in a non-US jurisdiction, or if you're based in a non-US jurisdiction, you'll want to consider that country's copyright laws when you are reusing content.
Does copyright belong to the publisher? Well, copyright automatically lies with the author of the work. However, most authors assign their copyright to a publisher as part of a contractual arrangement to publish works. When this happens, publishers now have the exclusive rights. Thanks for joining us in this Intro to Copyright Law video. We hope you will continue watching the rest of our series to prepare you to use third-party works in your online learning experience.